You thought the lost house was dark? Unbelievably, many windows in new housing are just over half a metre squared, about the size of a pizza box. Why so small? Simple, to save money. Small windows in new homes are a real concern for Professor Foster, who for more than 25 years has studied how a low lux, or light level, can affect our internal body clock.
Outside, light is incredibly bright. Even in a cloudy day in London, you probably got 20, 30,000 lux. The equivalent in your home would be 200 to 300 lux. In fact, people have argued that we live our lives in dim, dark caves.
This is where I live, a flat built in the 1950s. And the thing I love most of all about it, the big windows. But I'm curious to see what a lack of light does to me, so Professor Foster has devised an experiment, boarding up my windows for a week to the level of a house with the smallest national average window size.
So what we're going to do is reduce the light, probably to something like 50 or 100 lux. Still, many people are living under those sort of relatively low light levels, and then see how you cope with that reduced light exposure after about a week.
Sounds very depressing. Oh my God, what have I let myself in for? I bought this flat for the light, and I'm going to be without it for a whole week. It feels like being in prison and the door's just slammed shut. So this light meter will detect how much is coming in here before we put the boards up. I don't know, it was about 200 from this position in this room. Now it's reading about 50. I've got all these different tests to do. Urine sample, just got to keep in the fridge, and then the freezer. Fridge full of urine, that's very nice. Blood test. Got my glucose monitor. No. This is my sleepiness scale. Shows you how sleepy I'm feeling throughout the day. And then these ones, these are mood ratings. Do I feel calm? Do I feel sad? Horrified? Happy? Angry? Do I feel extremely angry? I feel a bit angry at the moment, I have to be honest. The whole flat feels a bit like it's been plunged into depression. I feel like I'm living in a cave, or a kind of goth's bedroom or something. I really want to get out now. I really feel like I want to escape. But you know the most worrying thing for me, the most worrying thing of all at the moment? It's these. Look. My plants.
And I'm not even allowed to leave my home for a week.
Day 4. Very glum and very tired. There's this sort of gloom over the whole flat. It does smell like a gentleman's toilet. I just can't really wait for it to end now, I think. It's horrible. I hate it. Make it stop. Not long to go now. I just feel really, really glum. Isn't that amazing? To reacquaint yourself with the sun after a week. I feel like I'm going on holiday, like I'm off to Saint-Tropez after a spell in the Arctic North where there's no light.
Thank goodness that's over with. But I wonder, what was all that darkness actually doing to my body?
So your tension and anxiety went up significantly.
Wow.
Your depression and dejection went up really quite a lot. But look at this, your vigour collapsed enormously.
I know I felt glum and a bit blue and a bit grumpy and so on, but to actually see the swings.
Now let's look at the glucose levels. And I have to say, I'm a little concerned. A glucose level above 6 is regarded as high. And what you see is that under the dim light conditions, your morning glucose has moved from 5.7 to 6.8.
So I'm sort of borderline diabetic. That's not good after a week, is it?
Certainly if that was sustained, then you'd need to bring that down below 6.
Shocking, isn't it?
It's quite marked, actually. What was really interesting, and that urine collection was worth doing,
Was it really?
because these data are really fascinating. If you were perfectly entrained, the body clock was exactly locked on, the period of the peaks would be exactly 24 hours. They're not. In fact, we've got a period of 24.2, which is a little bit longer, which fits with the idea that the body clock is beginning to drift. Those peaks are getting a little bit later and later.
You know, what are the consequences of that?
Well, what you're getting is a tendency for internal desynchronization. The master clock in the brain is at a slightly different point to the clocks in the liver, to the ones in the gut.
So if I was to carry on living like this, like many people do in new homes, what would be the result?
You're more likely to be depressed.
Blimey.
You are increasing your chances of immune suppression, metabolic abnormalities such as diabetes 2, and of course all that is associated with increased levels of susceptibility to disease.
I mean, it's quite incredible, isn't it? It's quite a credible reaction, response.
We are an extraordinary species, and perhaps just profoundly arrogant. We think we're independent of so much. We can do what we like, when we like, and something as trivial as the amount of light we see each day is not considered as important.
And yet it is. It's fundamental.
It's critical.
I'm astonished by what a lack of light can do to us. Luckily for the house builders, most of us can get out for a top-up of natural light. But for those who can't, and for all of us in winter, staying at home in a house with small windows can certainly damage your health.